God who never fails will not fail me now, will not fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out, working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy for all my days. Oh, yes, I will. Oh, I count on one thing: the same God who never fails will not fail me now, will not fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late, he's working all things out, yeah, working all things out, yeah. Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will, and I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of our names. And nothing can stand against, I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of our names, that nothing can stand against. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will.
Hey everyone, it's Pastor James coming at you today on a kind of, I guess, overcast, dreary Saturday morning. In between some sunshine, we get a little bit of rain, and that's okay. It helps me appreciate our amazing seasons that we have here in Washington. But I'm glad you guys are joining us here. I'm the Lake Stevens campus pastor, in case you guys didn't know that. And every day we at Gold Creek, we try to put together a little bit of encouragement for you guys as you guys are watching, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, or evening. Hopefully you feel encouraged. Today we're going to be in 2 Kings and also in Acts, because we follow the YouVersion Bible in 1 Year app, and today's reading is a bunch of stuff happening. I mean, there is a lot of things happening. There is just the middle of the turmoil that God promised, the people of Israel because of their disobedience, that God promised the leadership of Israel because they kept doing the wrong thing, worshiping the wrong gods, and just basically leading people astray. And as a result, God says, I'm going to snatch these people out of your hand. I'm going to snatch the kingdoms out of your hand. You're toast. But at the same time, I also recognize, and this is God speaking, not me, I recognize that I have promised your ancestors, Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, I have promised David, I have promised Solomon that I'm going to hold their lineage through, and that they're gonna accomplish great things through the line of their blood, which we know eventually leads to Jesus, and we'll get to that here in a second. But there's a lot of things happening with Amaziah and the kings of Aram and the kings of Israel and there's just so much happening. Jehoahaz, and again, if you thought the Bible was boring, just read 1st and 2nd Kings and you'll know there's no way that the Bible is boring. There is war, there's backstabbing. Amaziah was hunted down even though he was a king. I mean, just like crazy stuff happening. And right in the middle of it, there's this little obscure 2-verse section that I never noticed until this devotional that I'm sharing with you right now. I never noticed this before. I've gone through the Bible in 1 year numerous times, and I have never noticed it until just this moment. I don't know if it's just because I never paid attention or just never absorbed into my brain, but I'm noticing for the first time right now in verse 20 of chapter 13, 2 Kings 13, verse 20, right after Elijah dies, and it says in 20, then Elijah died and was buried. Now, that's not the part that I noticed. It's the next part. Groups of Moabite raiders used to invade the land each spring. Once, when some Israelites were burying a man, they spied a band of these raiders. So they hastily threw the corpse into the tomb of Elisha and fled. Interesting, right? So these guys are burying someone and they see these raiders and they're like, oh, let's go get them. We're supposed to bury this guy right now. What do we do? It's our cousin, it's our uncle, it's our friend, whatever. What do we do? And they just, well, here's an empty tomb. Let's just throw him in there. And so they throw him in Elisha's tomb. And it says, as soon as the body touched Elisha's bones, the dead man revived and jumped to his feet. Even in death, Elijah's body brought this man back to life. Did you ever notice that part of the Bible? It's interesting, right? Every time I read it, there's always something new that I'd never noticed before that just kind of pops up and I'm like, oh man, how did I not see this? And this is one of those moments where Elisha has been doing great things. I shouldn't be surprised by this, but he's been doing great things for God. And this person who's already dead touches him and he comes back to life. And it just reminds me, the word of the day today is power. I want you guys to think about power. I want you to think about God's power specifically. God's power manifests into us, around us, guiding us, all over. God's power is scary. God's power is comforting. It is magnificent. It is dangerous. It is so many different words. I cannot in one word explain the power of God. But I've experienced the power of God numerous times in my life. I've experienced as people have been healed. I've been part of healing praying sessions. I've been part of people that have died, like this man who was pronounced dead essentially when they get to the hospital and then they come back to life. I have witnessed these things as well too. And it just reaffirms the fact that God is so powerful. And even when I doubt, and as a pastor, I doubt as well too sometimes. I'm like, man, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is God even here? I've walked that road with you numerous times. And it's not something that I think I'm going to be done walking with. I think we're all going to get moments of our life where we're just going to feel spiritually low and we'll be attacked. But God's power, I want you to think about that, because now we're going to go to Acts. This is in today's reading as well too, and it's in Acts chapter 19. And we're talking about the Apostle Paul. He is in full-on, I am go time mode. He is telling people about Jesus. He is converting people. He is baptizing people. He is proclaiming the power of God. He is healing people. He is doing all of these amazing, amazing things through the Holy Spirit, through the power of God. And let's read chapter 19, verse 11. And it says, God gave Paul the power to perform unusual miracles. When handkerchiefs or aprons that had merely touched his skin were placed on sick people, they were healed of their disease and evil spirits were expelled. Again, just another part that this one is a little more vaguely familiar versus the Elijah one. I don't recall ever reading that, even though I'm sure I have. It just never absorbed. This one, it was kind of vaguely familiar, but even this seemed like, oh, well, I never even noticed that before. I remember when Jesus, when he would walk in the square and people would touch his garment and they would be healed, but I couldn't recall that it happened to Paul until this moment. And it says right here that the power of God, again, that word power, the power of God was so strong and so present in Paul's life that anyone who touched a piece of fabric to him and then placed it on someone else in an act of faith, saying that God's power is so great that even a piece of fabric that touches Paul, that touches my friend, Mike here who has leprosy, and we will place it on him and he will be healed. And oh man, my friend Mary has these demons and the demons are cast out. I mean, just this amazing power. And again, it brings me back to the power of God. And I know that for many of us, we don't think about this very often, myself included. I don't go around today, or in my usual day thinking, wow, God is powerful, God is powerful. I usually don't. Most of the time it's through some sort of experience that I have where I will be at the ocean and I see mighty waves, or I will be, in the forest and you look up and there's this amazing cavernous mountain and you're like, wow, the glory, the splendor, the power of God. And that's typically when I do it. I don't usually drive to work and think God is powerful. But maybe I need to. Maybe more opportunities like these disciples that would take pieces of fabric that just touched a man who believed in the power of God, and they would place them on other people and they would heal them. And it makes me think, what if you and I, those of you watching and myself included, we spent more time thinking about how powerful God is and recognizing that the power that he has, Jesus promised to us too. When he left, he says, I am sending a helper, the Holy Spirit, and you will be able to do the things that I do. So we can do these things too. We have the ability to pray for someone. We have the ability to intercede for people. We have the ability to walk with them and talk with them and lay with them and cry with them. And we have that in us. But I think, and again, this is me, I think in moments where we can rise forward and show the power of God, I shrink back and I show a lack of faith. And I need to change that. So my encouragement to you is I want to take that word power, God's power, and I want it to be something in your mind, in your heart that you believe in, that you believe that the powerful God that created this universe, that sent Jesus, that loves you so much, that promised the same power to us to do these amazing things in the name of God, that we can use this power to bless someone. So just take a few moments and pray. Maybe you just need to pray that power in your life. Maybe you pray that God is present and real and he does something amazing in your life. Great. Pray for that moment. Pray for your neighbor, your sibling, your parent, your kids, your coworker, your classmate. Spend some time praying over them with the power of God. And maybe your prayer is that they would experience God in a new way. And you pray that into their life. Do that right now. As soon as we're done with this video, spend some time right now and just pray for the people in your life that need to experience the power of God. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I will see you guys next time.